Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with chocolate mint brownies. That's right, I'm going to show you what I consider the easiest recipe for super dense, super chocolatey, chewy style brownies. On top of which, we are going to do a very simple mint icing, which makes a very special holiday treat. All right, step one here, we're going to melt a stick of butter in a small saucepan over medium-low heat. We want the butter melted and we want it pretty hot. While that's melting, I'm going to measure my sugar and my cocoa in a heat-proof bowl. You really want to use a high-quality cocoa here. Very important. So by now, the butter has melted. It's nice and hot. It's not starting to brown yet. You probably don't want to go that far, but you definitely want it hot. I'm going to dump that into the bowl of sugar and cocoa, and I'm going to stir that in. And it's going to form sort of a wet, chocolatey mud. Now, I've basically eliminated any proper techniques from this video. This thing looks horrible until it's cooked. So that just looks disgusting, but don't worry, it totally works. Once that's mixed in, I'm going to add some vanilla and some salt and an egg. We're going to add 2 eggs, but you want to add one at a time. So I'm going to stir in that first one. And again, I can't stress how horrible this recipe looks all along the way. So real bakers all over the country are basically hyperventilating at this point, but that's okay. They'll be fine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and dump in my second egg. And at this point, it starts to look a little better. Well, not at this point, but stir that in and it will start to eventually look like a batter and get kind of shiny, which is what you're looking for. See that? That doesn't look too bad. And at this point, I was using the whisk like a spatula. And then I thought to myself, hey, you know what also works like a spatula? A spatula. So I switched to that. I finished mixing this, scraping down the sides. And that is ready for the flour, the last ingredient. All right, so I'm going to dump in my all-purpose flour. I'm going to mix that in with the spatula. And it's going to look like there's too much flour and it's going to be all dry and stuff, but it's not. If you keep mixing, you'll see it turns into a nice sticky batter. And again, it's looking terrible, but that's okay. It's an ugly, ugly batter that produces a very, very dense, fudgy, chewy brownie. I don't know how it works, but it does. All right, we're going to transfer that into an 8x8 square baking dish. And you're going to smooth that out as evenly as you can. Now, if you want, you can take an oiled piece of plastic wrap and really get that top smooth, which will look better later. I'm usually never concerned with such matters, so I didn't. I'm going to give it the old tappa, which really was closer to the rare and elusive banga. And you'll notice I'm doing that on a placemat. I'm not banging that on a table. Do not break your baking dish. All right, we're going to bake that in the middle of a 325-degree oven for about 35 minutes. Or until it's basically set and a bamboo skewer comes out almost clean. All right, it's going to have a little chocolate on it, but it's not going to look like all raw batter on there. And then please, please, please let that cool completely before we put on the mint icing, which is what we're going to make now. And icing could not be easier. It's powdered sugar, a little bit of mint extract, and then a couple tablespoons of milk, and that's really all there is to it. Now, when it comes to the extract, you want to be careful. You can even do that to taste. Put in a couple drops, taste it, and adjust, because some extracts are stronger than others, and you do not want your mint icing to taste like toothpaste. And that's what will happen if you put too much mint in. Once it is completely smooth and mixed and looks like that, you're going to dump it over your cooled brownies, spread it out. It should just be a thin layer. You do not want like a half-inch thick layer of this. You can see the brownie underneath. That really is all you want on there. But that's up to you. You're the boss of your icing. All right, so once you've dumped it on and spread it over, you're just going to let that sit out for about 30 minutes until it completely sets. It'll basically dry out, and it'll look like that. And when that happens, you can go ahead and slice and portion your brownies. You should probably get 12 or 16 small brownies out of this pan. But I run with a particularly gluttonous crowd, so I'm going to cut this in 9. And then one optional step, I made a little extra icing, put some green food coloring in it, put it in a little plastic bag. You've seen us do this trick many times. Snip off the corner and make a decorative Christmas tree. I was going to go with Scotch pine, but at the last second I decided to go with Douglas fir. And I think I made a good choice. So that looks pretty cool, very holiday-ish. But forget all that. What about the brownie? The brownie is, like I said, a very dense, rich, chocolatey, chewy style brownie. This is not a light, airy, cakey brownie. This is very dense and fudge-like. So if you like that and you like chocolate mint combination, you're really going to like this. So I hope you give that a try. All the ingredients are on foodwishes.com as usual. And as always, Enjoy.